Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. My guest today is Coach Luka. He is the owner of Vigor Ground Fitness and the strength coach for the Seattle Seawolves. A very, very cool episode talking about strength and conditioning, the process of becoming an actual professional in this industry, how to start a gym, how to actually make your marketing strategy implement in your area, and how to get results from those strategies. Enjoy the episode. I assume the second tower still hadn't gone down. You land in Nova Scotia.
No, we don't, and we didn't know. If you try to call, like nobody could get a call out, text. Nothing was. Every once in a while, somebody'd get a call out and be like, America got attacked, and then it was like, what? You didn't know anything, right?
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my goodness. And then we were on a flight. So we were on that flight once it landed for like 24 hours, because what they started doing was like checking the planes, dogs, military.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then organizing. It was basically like, all right, these 6 planes go to the high school. These 8 planes go to the stadium. So we went to the military camp, right? So our plane and whatever amount of planes went to the military camp. So only once we got there, and it was just like, oh shit, watch the TV, oh shit.
You were trying to go to New York.
So that was my first, I was going to junior college upstate in Binghamton. So I went to the JUCO. And I was kind of already late because, long story, like I went to this Eastern Invitational Basketball Academy, right?
Yeah.
Like pretty much, I mean, I got stories, however many stories you want, because it's go deep.
Man.
Let's go deep. But I ended up deciding, like I was already playing kind of pro ball in Slovenia, but I was also doing a lot of stupid shit. Like I was in organized crime and doing a lot of dumb stuff.
Whoa.
And it came to like, it came to just a place where I started this. The year previously, I already had went to this thing called Eastern Invitational Basketball Academy. It's kind of like the biggest high school, essentially camp, for talent to see how people are playing in the U.S. It's in Trenton, New Jersey. We went as a team, as the Slovenian team, like, hey, let's compete against the U.S. and like, develop our skills, and this will be a good experience.
Yeah.
So I went up there, did really well. And this guy, Wayne Jones, that basically was the coach of my team, he was like, oh man, you're good. Like you're a little nuts, but you ever thought about college, And I was like, no, like, I'm not thinking about college. In my mind, I'm like, listen, I'm already playing basketball. I'm going to go pro. I'm kind of already pro, Division II, getting paid. Also, like, sell drugs, make a bunch of money. So
yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, right? Nice dude, though. So, but then that year of my life was very, very, like, crazy in every way possible, right? And it's like things started coming to reality. Because, it's like, look, when you're in crime, it's just, there's no good ending ever, right? It's things
prison or die.
Yeah, things can only get worse. It's like, it's just, the movies. If you watch the movies, there's no happy ending. It's just true in real life. But so things started happening where I was just like, okay, like, oof. Reality started kicking in. My coach, who was a huge influence in Slovenia, was just like, I was like, I know what you're doing.
Did he? He knew kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you
can't
not know. It's like the streets talk, people talk, and he was just like, hey man, like, you got to understand, like, there's really just 2 paths here, right? Like, one path goes here, one path goes, and he really cared about me. I would say he definitely changed the trajectory of my life.
That's awesome.
But Wayne would keep in touch with me, right? After that, so he was like, man, he didn't know what was going on, but he's emailing me, how you doing, this, that, the other. He's like, well, why don't you come up to, he lived in Denver. He's like, why don't you come to Denver for 2 weeks? We'll train altitude, and then we'll do 2 EIBCs back to back, right? Because I think there was 3 total camps, like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, there was just so much stuff going on for me, like, that was not good, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll do it, and I ended up going. Now, I have no idea about recruiting, like nothing, you know what I mean? So EIBC is in July, right?
Which stands for what? EIBC?
It was Eastern Invitational Basketball Clinic or something like that.
Okay.
In Trenton, New Jersey.
Gotcha.
And basically it was, I'm like, all right, let's go. And I'm playing. So the way the basketball works in Europe is like, the high school team is not like the thing. You play for the juniors of a pro team, whatever that pro team is, right? So it's like, at that point in time, Olympia was the #1 team in the country. It's where the most, top players came through. So then you had under 18s, under 16s, under 4, you play for those teams, and that's where the competition is the best. The high school stuff is like, I'd play it on the side and score 50. It's like one of those things. So I'm playing for our team in the youth category. We're top 4 in the nation. In the pros, we're like in Division II, right? So we're not the top league, But, I'm like 17. I'm
Yeah, I was
playing,
gonna say you're
it
still
was-
young. You're in high
I'm
school.
getting paid under the table type stuff,
Got it.
This is the Balkans, so, and I end up going, right? I'm like, kind of like, all right, look, maybe this college, I don't know, maybe this college thing, but I can't, it's not a good place, right? For me. I mean, and it wasn't like, I was loving ball, my friends, like all that stuff, but I just knew,
It was the double life.
it was just, I just knew I needed to get away from it. And also, how can I still keep playing ball or go to school, because in Slovenia, I applied for school, didn't go. I was just hooping, right?
Yeah.
And I go there, and we train. I do really well. It's like I got Quinnipiac, Delaware State, Western Michigan. They're all like, oh.
What position you play?
Well, I was naturally like a shooting guard, a 2. Now, you look at me, you're like, not like, this guy's a 2. So I played a 2 in college because I could shoot lights out. So, and basically, they're like, we love your game. You could walk on. Right. So I'm like, oh, cool, walk on.
Cool,
all right, cool.
Yeah.
What's that? Then you look at all those, and it's like, yeah, Wayne's like, all right, but these schools start at $48,000 a year, right? Like,
just to get, yeah.
All right, it's not going to work, right? So then there was a guy there that was like, hey, man, like, and of course, nobody's got scholarships anymore in July. You don't have a scholarship in July for D1 schools.
Yeah, because it's
or D, honestly, like even D2s. I mean, the top ones, they don't have that anymore.
They've already given them away.
By like end of May, it's like it's gone. And so there's a guy that goes like, hey, look, man, like you can play. I used to go to the school. I played, I coached. Then at that point in time, he was at a really high level JUCO D1. But he's like, but I can connect you, like you'll play, like you're good. But no full ride. You can get some stuff covered. Expenses aren't big. Now he says it's in New York. Now in my mind, I'm like, yeah, New York.
New York City.
New York City, baby. And I come home. This like I remember this clear as day. August 3rd.
Avoid the tapping button.
There you go.
August 3rd. Yep, that happens.
August 3rd. I come home and I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna do this. So it's like embassy, visa, the whole shebang, right? Like, and it took that long, and it was a very, very much so like, not out of nowhere, but definitely, a big like for people. Well, I'm doing this, right? But I got my visa by, right at the beginning of September, and it was just like, all right, I got my flight. My flight was September 11th, right? in 2001. So that was, and here what's so crazy is it probably wasn't until 10 days, that I'm like digging into the details of the school, and I start going like, I mean, back then, remember, like computers ain't pulling up stuff like we're pulling it up, right? So
right, yeah, 2001.
I got to go to maps and actually like do the whole. I mean, it's taking me a long time, but I'm like, shit, this isn't in the city.
No,
this is up. Oh wow, oh, this is 3.5 hours from the city, right? Oh, this is Binghamton. What is? I have no clue, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of, I'm going.
Heading up there anyway.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah.
So then then it was like the September 11th happened, and that was absolutely crazy because it was. Again, I'm flying up there. Oh, initially it was like, oh, we're just gonna go back to Germany. Then when am I gonna be able to even come into the U.S.? But we ended up flew into Nova Scotia, spent a week there. I mean, that's the short story. It was even my time there was crazy. But ended up taking the buses back, and I was at school. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it was like the 19th or something like that.
Okay.
And then I 2 years in junior college, got a pretty much full ride in. Virginia Intermont, which was Southern Virginia, D2, played there, and then went and played overseas.
What'd you study while you were in college?
Business, man. Well, you know what it was? It was just like, whatever, right? Like, what business? Okay, so I did business management.
Something that applies to everything.
But I did. Here's the thing. I've always been geeking. Like, there's this underlying. People are like, when did you get into fitness?
Yeah.
Right? And there's these crossover stories. So I did like. All these basically, I got a minor in exercise science and kinesiology, right? Because I was so into the training stuff, and so my mom opened up a gym when I was 13 years old, right? And she worked the bank, and basically with her friend, they opened up a gym. And in Slovenia, you have like these they're called physical culture buildings, right? It's like the government sponsors it, and there's like basketball courts, this, that, the other. So at the top of this building, there was. I mean, I'm going to make a guess. I think it probably was about 1,600 square feet, maybe, the gym. Techno gym, squat racks, like but it was a membership gym. Yeah. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. But I mean, that I guarantee you, like, part of the trajectory of my career started like there.
Early on from there.
Early on. And like, I was a scrawny kid, like I want to play ball. I'm not that great. I'm short. Like, I'm all this. I'm the guy not getting picked. You know, like, oh shit, we got to pick this kid. You know, chip on my shoulder. My whole life, chip on my shoulder, right? So I started training, and I was very fortunate. So there was a guy in there, top powerlifter in the country, you know, he's training out there, and he's like, all right, kid, let me show you how to bench. Let me show you how to squat. Like, I mean, I'm talking about top notch, right?
What's his name?
I cannot remember.
No?
I cannot remember. No, for the life of me.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go ahead and say it was Andrade. Hard name to say, right?
Yeah.
But I can't remember. But I remember, like, he would spend a lot of time, like, helping me. But then there was also two guys at the bottom. One is Elias Began, which is another guy, but he was, you could actually look him up. There were it's two guys, world-class gymnasts. I'm talking about gold medals. And it was
Gymnastics.
Like he was the straddle, right? And again, they had a little gym at the bottom. This place was called Partisan, right? So little gym, famous.
Yeah.
And they would just do all the gymnastic stuff. And every once in a while, they come up and train and do their thing and show me stuff too. So it's like, I didn't even know how good I had it at that point in time, right? But I learned a lot, and I would go there and I would train. You know what I mean? Like 3 days a week, I'm lifting weights. And that's where I first, I think, got into the whole, like, whoa, I'm bigger now. Like, I can body people. Whoa, my first step is fast. Oh, I couldn't touch the rim. I can touch the rim, right? So you get this, you know, feedback loop. And then that's what spurred, you know, now I'm like, I don't know if you guys remember, like, this is way back in the day, but Air Alert. You remember, like, the plyometric program was horrible. Like, if you looked at it today, like, scientifically, this is shit. But, you know, they're playing, there's like Air Alert 2. And I'd buy that, and then it was
a program. It was a training program. Okay,
like, you know, get your vert up, right? And
got it.
And with the plyo shoes, I know you remember the plyo.
I remember the plyo shoes. Yes.
I mean, what was the name of that board you guys used to have?
Vertimax. Vertimax. Have you done that?
No. So the Vertimax was later.
Vertimax ain't bad.
Vertimax is not bad.
It's not bad.
Depending on how you use it and what you use it for. I mean, this was like just the volume. I mean, talk about extensive plows. This is like overtraining plows.
Yo, yeah.
And initially, obviously, you got some results because you were doing stuff, right? But what it did, it led me into just really, really dive down like the rabbit hole. You know, start reading stuff from Verkhoshansky and Zetsyorsky and Mel Siff and Tudor. I was like, you know, 15, 16, reading Speed Trap from Charlie Francis. I mean, I was in it, man. Like, everything that you can imagine. And so and again, another fortunate event that happened, because I was crazy. I mean, probably I'm controlled crazy now. Like, back then it was like uncontrolled crazy, right? I'll do, like, tell me to eat the barbell to get faster, I'm eating the barbell. Like, I'll do whatever. And so my coach, who loved the enthusiasm, right? I was like, hey, like, I want to dunk it. Like, I want to be the fastest. So he goes like, all right, let me talk to. So his friend was, this guy's name's Srđan Đorđević. Say that 3 times real fast.
These names.
I know, man. It's like, it's the Balkan stuff. But he's legitimately, like, you know, one of the top track and field guys in Eastern Europe. I mean, he trained Marilyn Adi in the last 6 years of her career. Brigitta Bukovic, who was silver medalist hurdles in '92 Barcelona Olympics. And I mean, he was so far ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And basically, you know, Boris, who's my coach, is like, I got this kid. He's nuts. You know, like, he'll do whatever. You know, and he goes like, yeah, just tell him to come before school. You know, like 6:30. You know, thinking there's no way I'm showing up. My ass is right there. You know, like. I was like, I was annoying at the beginning. Like, I was annoying. You know, it was like, oh my God, what's this kid doing here? And then he realized that, like, I'll do anything.
And this is all before school, all before basketball? I mean,
imagine this is me in high school. I'm like 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
So before I'll go and train, go to school, after school, go lift, go to basketball practice. Like, I mean, I'm training like 5 hours a day, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed, right? But I'm there training with, like, Brigitte Bukovic, like, Olympians, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 10% on the sled does this, foot fire, boom, boom. I mean, like, I'm learning stuff. You know, he was doing EKG tests on muscle stuff, like, before anybody.
Way back then, yeah.
Way
wow.
back. I mean, we're talking about way back. This is like 98, 97, 98, 99, right? Like,
there's been a lot of techniques out of Eastern Europe, I think, that catch on to the States a lot later on. I mean, has that been have you seen that at all to be the case, that oftentimes there's strength training techniques that are late to the game in the U.S.?
What's so interesting is that I trained under some great people. And then, you know, because there's been phases. So when I came to the U.S. and even before that, like, there's different things that popped up. Remember, like, there was a phase of, you know, steady state cardio for fat loss. And then there was a phase of this and a phase of that, right? Like, and I would go back and go like, what our coaches were, in different phases, you learn new stuff and you go like, what our coaches were doing in Eastern Europe were stupid, and then you learn more and you go like, actually, they're a genius.
Yeah, maybe
like,
not.
They were actually really genius. But you have to go through all the phases. You have to learn everything. And I mean, look, there was a period of time where everybody was just like high intensity and conditioning. That's the only thing. That carries over. And it's like, again, another fortunate thing for me is that, one of my closest friends in the world is Joel Jamieson, right? Like, I mean, the guy lives in Seattle's #1 conditioning guy on the planet. And so I started learning about cardiac output method 15, 16 years ago.
Is it Jill Jameson or
Joe
Jameson?
Joe.
Does he have a page?
Yeah. So he's 8weeksout.com. And he's a coach Joe Jameson.
I have heard of that.
Yeah. So he's got the #1 cert too. Like, if I mean, honestly, education for conditioning energy systems he wrote MMA conditioning.
He does this. What is a cert? Does he have, Jake, pull up
It's
his
called
Instagram.
Bioforce Conditioning Certification. Yeah, let's pull it up.
See what it looks like.
So this is his website.
Yeah. And,
How long?
And he has trained. And he was the first.
In the game?
He had a gym for like, oh, look at that.
Oh shit! There you go.
That's another one. But that's
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, if you want to learn anything and everything about conditioning, that's the guy right there, right?
I'd love to. I've been looking for a certification specific to conditioning.
I mean, it's not even close. There's nothing touches it, right?
Perfect. Does he do it in person? He does something actually like in his facility?
No, so he had a gym for 17, 18 years in Kirkland. Now all he does is just educates online. He was the first person to also put HRV onto a phone. Like back then it was called it's called Bioforce. HRV. Now it's trained with Morpheus.
Okay.
I mean, he literally, learned from Val Nasetkin and was translating from Russian and did the Omega Wave. And I mean, I could go into this stuff, man. Like, I mean,
Russia is where I think that's where Lee Simmons went over. He learned a lot of his techniques for powerlifting. Again, I think sometimes it's a little bit late in the U.S.
It comes, it's like it comes full circle. And like now, I think the U.S. is the best place to be because there's so much education, right? And like I have a gym in Slovenia, right? We started that one 16 years ago, pretty much, right? Like the one in Seattle is going on 15. There it's been 16 plus. And
how did that start? I mean, when did you actually make the jump and start your first facility?
It was pretty much like this. I was playing pro basketball. I mean, that was my dream, right? Like after I went out of college, my first team, I played in Ukraine. Then I played in Slovenia for 2 years. Did NBA Summer Pro League 2004, 2005, like the summer league. It was like, I mean, when I look back now, I'm glad it didn't happen, right? Like, it's like I got further than anybody ever thought I could, right? Because I was, I mean,
in basketball,
yes, like I was so driven, I would do absolutely anything, and man, I don't regret anything.
Yeah,
but it was like all of that stuff led me to, I was so into training. My last year playing, I played for this team, Kran. It's like, pro sport is not how everybody thinks that it is. Like you just bank out, I mean, there was years where it's like, you're not getting paid for 3-4 months, but I'm doing 2-a-days playing,
taxing
stressed out of your
body.
mind. And then you got to make deals like, hey, sign this letter here and we'll give you 2 out of the 4 months. But if you don't, like, and everybody doesn't sign it, then we'll go bankrupt. You get nothing. I mean, these are real things, right? And sometimes it's because the sponsors will commit, and then halfway through the year they go like, actually, you know what, we're not going to pay to. It's complicated, man. It's complicated. And so, you really are like, I mean, playing for the love of the game, and then sometimes that love kind of goes away. Meaning, I'm playing pro. I'm not loving the playing pro, but I'm playing street ball tournaments and winning Nike Battlegrounds and shit and winning prizes there because I love the actual sport, but I didn't love the pro side of it. So
politics,
absolutely. And I got really into I was into all types of training, but I got like into kettlebell training like early, man. I mean, like I did the first RKC 2004 in Denmark. Pavel was my mentor. I mean, like, there's a history of all this stuff because I was so into it.
Yeah.
And so I started training. I trained out at this one gym, and people just like, I was training different. Like I was doing mobility stuff, like 25 years ago. I mean, where people are looking at me going like, what the fuck are you doing? Like the Spider-Man lunges with rotations, I mean.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, so I'm playing for Kran, and like, this is like month 3, I'm not getting paid. Right?
You said you're playing for Kran?
Kran. So Kranj, right?
Kranj.
Yeah,
okay.
So if anybody from Slovenia is listening, they might be like, oh, you too, or or the team's listening and be like, my bad, we didn't pay you. But it, I mean, look, it all led to good things. So what would happen is I would start taking, people are like, man, like you're, I was 205, 6 pounds. I mean, I had tomahawk dunk on you. Like I was a deadlift in 500. I mean, I was like into it so much, I was conditioned as can be. And people were like, dude, I want to train like you. So I took on some clients at this gym. It's called Sokol. And making a little bit, I mean, like charging, I didn't even know what to charge. Remember, at this point in time, there's no famous personal trainer in Slovenia. None. No.
Yeah.
Like there was, you'd either do strength and conditioning and have a salary, and it wasn't a big salary at all.
Right.
Right. Or you did it as a side hustle. There was nobody full-time personal training. There was
Right.
no coaching gym. It was only like membership gyms, you know, so we were the first of its
For
kind.
Gen Pop, there wasn't anything
Nothing.
elite
There was nothing.
specifically for,
And so, you know, but I'm charging a little bit. And like what got me hooked was I felt so good when I would train people. You know, people are like, oh my God, this is so awesome, man. Like, you're so great. You're making me you know, you're pushing me, you're challenging me, like the whole mindset, motivation stuff. Like, people are loving it.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where like I was like, I can't take on more people. And then outdoors, because we were like hardcore in RKC, we were the first RKC instructors in the whole of basically the Balkans. So think below, you know,
you
Croatia.
keep saying RKC. What does that stand for?
Russian Kettlebell Challenge.
Russian Kettlebell
So
Challenge.
before it became strong first, that was like the RKC was like the gold standard for kettlebells, right?
Got
That's
it.
what Pavel brought here. And so outside, there was this park, Tivoli, like we'd bring our stuff, our kettlebells, ropes, kegs. I mean, and Tivoli had like these trails, and by the trails, you had logs and pull-up bars and like very physical culture type of.
Still before a physical location. So you still haven't opened.
No, we haven't opened anything
Yeah.
at that point in time. So in what would happen is be like, you know, some of the former athlete guys or some of them still be playing semi-pro, you know, we'd go and train. It'd be like 2-3 guys.
Right.
But then 2-3 would become 5 and then 6 and then 8. And then people are walking by, you know, seeing us swing these metal balls. Like, what is that? Like, oh, like, come on Friday, try it out. You know, I mean, basically the most kind of basic lead gen you could ever imagine. You know, person comes, it's like, oh man, that was crazy hard workout, but I feel good. Hey, can I come? How much is it? You know, €5. I don't know. Like, so I'm charging almost, but it went from, now it's 2 groups of 8, then it's a group of 10. I go to my brother, I'm like, look, man, like there's something here. Like, I feel it. I know it. It's like, I got to tell people I got 2 practices a day for ball in between. I'm coaching people. We're training people in the woods. I mean, it's kind of bananas, right? Like, and my brother's like, I don't know. And I was also very likely because I was in a serious relationship, engaged to my college sweetheart who lived in Seattle. That's how I rented. So that's how I initially came there, right? But I'm pushing. I'm like, listen, man, I'm just telling you, like I have a gut feeling. So then I hire a consultant, like the #1 consultant in Slovenia for gyms, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be kettlebells, barbells, body weight, like more, you know, functional training. You know, overused word, but he's like, oh man, I love your enthusiasm. He's like, there's no market for it. He's like, there's no gyms like that because there's no market for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I paid this guy a lot of money. I'm like, you're fucking wrong. Like,
Yeah, you're wrong.
You're absolutely it was 2 people in the park. Now there's 20. I got, you know, 6 clients, you know, in between my
People want the challenge.
It's there.
They don't
I'm
just
telling
want the
you.
machines. They want,
So he's like, I don't think you should do it. But my brother, like, because I can be very, very, like, I'm a head through the wall, man. Like, you know, I will not stop type of person. And so eventually kind of gives in. We buy 3,000 euros worth of bells, barbells. We get a 470 square foot room. I still got pictures of this in some of my presentations.
You got one we can show?
Man, the thing is, you'd have to go back, like, oof.
Like on your page, maybe you have to dig real deep.
You'd have to dig.
I know you.
Start
Post.
scrolling,
I
Jake.
got too much damn content. Like, but I know I could put on my computer. I have it because I did a presentation. I was kind of doing.
We'll have
the
you
phases.
send it to us, and we'll kind of overlay it and show it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you started in a
I'll
small
send you
space.
the different spaces, but
400 square feet was the size.
470
Was it a
this-
garage gym?
No, it was a room. It was like it was basically a warehouse that had different components to it, right?
Okay.
And we were able to just grab this one room. And we were kind of like, shit, like we didn't have this long-term commitment. It was just like 6 months, then month to month. Like, you know, it was very like, all right, the risk is not that big. But man, within months, it wasn't like it was booked all day, but the times that people got done with work, our classes were like, oh, we don't have a lot of room.
Yeah.
So then from there, we moved in the same building next door, which was pretty much, it was in the same building. So when I say next door, it's like the room over, but it was 2,200 square feet. So much bigger, right?
Yeah. Like what is that? Oh, that's like 8 times the size. Okay.
Yeah, it was significantly bigger, right? And but we had momentum, and it was like a feeling of like
470 to 2,200. No, that's not 8 times. That's like 5 times.
5 times.
Hey, this guy's beautiful mind over here.
Not the math.
Rain Man.
And so
Sorry, I
not
couldn't
long
not say
after that, I actually left, right? Because I was in this space of like, we're doing long distance with my then fiance, and it was like, he's got to give. You know, I was playing pro ball. I played in Ukraine, and then I was in Slovenia, but in Nova Mesta, so I was all around.
Yeah.
Then we started this, and it was like, and it was a tough decision because I had to essentially, you know, go like, man, this thing that I've built and started building, I got to leave it behind. But I knew it was like, you know, it was very difficult for her to come to Slovenia, language barrier, job, everything else.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
So I
sure,
was just
yeah.
like, all right. So I made a jump. So I go to Seattle and I start from scratch, LA Fitness. You know, like, I mean,
Literally? You literally went into LA Fitness?
Personal
LA
trainer?
Fitness
To train as a personal trainer.
As a personal trainer.
Okay.
From the bottom, and then
Got it.
basically
Yeah, literally.
went, you know, was there probably for, I mean, definitely a good year. I mean, I was like 110-hour a week person, man. I'm not even playing. Like, I mean, it was because I had to. The thing is,
In LA? Wow.
because we had to live like, I was basically broke. You know, don't ask how, but pro basketball. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
a lot of old money, also a lot of, you know, not being smart with money. But
How much fun did you have playing basketball at LA Fitness against those guys?
man, dude, I actually will say that my 3 years after I was done with 3 to 5 years after I was done with my pro career was the best basketball I played.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I didn't give a fuck like that. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you play ball, like, I'm telling you, the mental aspect of it. This is a big thing that, like, how good. We'll come back to this, but I'll say this anyways. Your skill set, right? If I'm confident, right, and like every shot I take, every dribble that I do, every move that I make, and I'm 100% confident in it, I'm gonna be able to basically encapsulate 100% of my skills. But once I start questioning myself, now my skills drop, right? Even though
Sure.
I've built these skills up. And so what happens when you play, I mean, look, is every probably, you know, high level athlete has had this, right? You go through a slump, or, you know, you get injured, or the coach doesn't play you, and then you get in your head, right? And then you're like, fuck, like, I'm gonna go in for, I got 5 minutes to make shit happen, and I'll play longer, right? And it's like mind games.
Yeah.
Like, you know, being like high level athletics is a lot. I mean, you got the physical, the skill, and then you got the mental, and the mental is such a big part of it.
Definitely.
And when I stopped playing, like, it was like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I was like, I was
Playing for
it-
fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. And it was, I'm playing, you know, with NBA guys, right? Like, because Seattle's a big hoop city, by the way. Like, it's amazing hoop city. But it was, I mean, we were playing leagues, and I'm just scoring 40 every game. I mean, it was fun, but it was very much like I let it go. So that was great. But I you know, really work hard there. But I had to be a training manager because I literally couldn't afford being a trainer.
No.
Right?
What
And-
did they start you at the
I mean,
time?
it's,
Do you
that
remember?
point in time, it was like, I think it was $6 an hour was the
Yeah.
base pay. And then you got, and the thing, so, and then
Today it ain't much better. Today it's like 16.
Yeah,
It's-
I mean,
it's-
but
it's still base pay is
it
so
was
low at those places.
essentially what it was, basically I had a choice. And I was living out of my basically mother-in-law's house for the first 6 months. Cause like we didn't have money. So like save money, do this, that, do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, all right, if I'm training, right. And I was calculating what I get paid. I think it was like, if I was doing one-on-one sessions, it was like 25 an hour, maybe 30.
Mhm.
And then you had 30-minute sessions. But as a training manager, it was like I was making 6 or 7 no matter what. And then commissions. But what I was doing, and that was like a little hustle, because obviously I wanted to train people.
Mhm.
And when I was selling people, a lot of people were like, man, like, I don't want to train with anybody else. I want to train with you.
Mhm.
So I would work my 50-hour shift on the books, right? LA Fitness can't do shit now if you're listening, but it's like 50 hour in the books. And then what I would do is I would train people the other times, like certain clients. But I couldn't get money for those sessions, right? Because I was a training manager.
Right,
basically,
yeah.
Right? So I would go to the other coaches and go, by the way, one of you know, building quality relationships. I would say, listen, I'll literally give you these sessions. Give me half in cash, right? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, you're gonna just give me the money? I'm like, yeah, just give me half in cash, right? But it was one way for me to extract. It was for them to make extra money because they were trainers,
Mhm.
right? And I was a training manager, but I was training.
But you were training the people for free? The
Correct.
clients for
But
free?
they-
Yeah,
yeah,
because
but
you were a manager, you couldn't charge.
Correct. But they were buying the sessions.
Oh,
Got
okay.
it.
So
From
the
guy
sessions
training.
I would give them to coaches and have them cash me out half.
I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was working an absurd amount of hours. I mean, absurd. And
Yeah.
but it was like also, bro, and I wasn't like really phenomenal at sales. I just loved, like, I was learning all the time. I loved the training part of it, and I was very into like helping people. You know, no shit. Like for me, like training, I think is also, you know, talking about a karma scale of, I did a lot of shit, you know, not good shit in my life.
Mhm.
Training gave me something where I was like, oh, I'm helping people and I'm getting a lot out of it. You know, like it's fulfilling me. So I broke like the West Coast sales record in LA Fitness in that January. But it was also the thing that I didn't want to stay there, but it was like, when I got my check, there was just like, not like a little bit of money missing, like thousands of dollars missing in commission. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then they have all these rules, you know, like unwritten rules. Well, this payment didn't come this month, so we're splitting it. So this bonus that you were going to get, you're not getting it. And then this bonus you're going to get, you're not getting that. And then there's something called the water line. I said, what the hell? Like, I asked my manager, I'm like, what's the water line? I don't know what the water line. Nobody knows what it is, but you're making less money, right?
I mean, can you explain it?
No, because I called it. So
they just take
I
your
called
money?
HR and I was like, explain these things to me, right? And then the regional manager would like sit me down and get like lose their mind, like, you never call HR, like only if you want to get fired, you call it. And like I'll be like, listen, no problem. See this $3,800 that's missing here? Give me the money. I'm not calling HR, you know. And that was the beginning of the end too, because it was like they would really, I mean, to me, it's like, if you make shit happen, I'll be happy to pay you, right?
Right, yeah.
And I was the make shit happen guy. And then like, you're doing that. And so you know, long story short, I ended up going to Vision, like one of my friends that worked there too, this place called Vision Quest, that was at that point in time just one gym.
Mm-hmm.
A new guy just bought in, and then Rich brought me over. Rich was my friend, so Rich brought me over. And he was, you know, Chip was the guy that owned the place. This is another, I mean, I got so many stories, man, it's wild. But Chip owned the place. It ended up going, so I went there. I said, look, give me 1 month of guarantee. That's it. Like, to pay the bills, this, that, the other. Just 1 month. I'll make the money within. And he said, okay. And I started training him, helped the owner like lose 120 pounds. He also like kind of took me under his wing in other ways, as far as like mentoring on like financial management, money, like, you know, understanding those things. But that was another big box gym. And I got really busy really fast. I mean, and I was like, you know, I was in the books all day, all night, went to every seminar you can imagine. Like, I spent all my money on education, right? Just getting better.
Yeah.
And, you know, quickly we were having these Biggest Loser contests that the gym had already had, right? And like, I was always winning them, but I wasn't, you know, it's like a lot of folks were doing detox teas and fucking.
Biggest Loser meaning you help a client lose the most amount of weight.
Correct. Yeah, it was like a 90-day. It was basically a 90-day challenge, and it's like, you know, number one person got a big cash prize, this, that, the other, and I was just getting exceptionally good results. But it was like, you know, this is, I mean, this is not 20 years ago, but this is like 17, 16 years ago, something like that, right? And I mean, I'm doing trap bar deadlifts and kettlebell swings and pushing sleds. I'm bringing my own sled into the gym, and everybody's doing machines. And, you know, I mean, it was just the training was so different of what I was doing and what they were doing. You know, I'm just doing balanced nutrition. You know, they're doing all types of crazy, wacky stuff. So, but it's like 2 or 3, you know, Biggest Losers in a row. I win them. Like, we got just amazing results. So I'm getting very busy. But then I'm like, hey, look, like we should start a boot camp, right? And I was also like, back then I was in, you know, Pat Rigsby's Trainers Inner Circle. Like, I was always I mean, for the last 20 years I've been investing in education and like getting mentored in some way, even if it was, you know, what I could afford. You know, it was a little bit of what I could afford. But
what would you say is the best certification you've ever taken?
Oh, shit, it's impossible to answer. You know why? It's impossible because it was like seasons of life. You know.
Can you tell me a good one you really do recommend?
I mean, this is what I recommend on the training side for most people. CPPS, DeFranco's one, Certified Physical Preparation Specialist is great. Mike Robertson's Complete Coach Certification is great. Russon's Pain-Free Performance Training.
I've done that one.
That was awesome.
That's a good one, yep.
John's a good friend. And we got Prescript coming right now, which is Dr. Jordan Shallow. That's a great one. Let's see. I mean, you know, I'm not exaggerating if I say like I've done 200. I mean, like it's
yeah,
but it's not for me to say it. It doesn't, like, I'm always just seeking knowledge, right?
Well, but that's important. It's important to continue the education, not because you have to, but because you need to.
Because you need to, and it's like there's different phases, you know. Because I ended up, you know, I started because I was essentially a business owner, right? Like even the Slovenian gym, I was like I started studying marketing and sales and, you know, things that were not just training stuff. And I think that was some of the best things that I've ever done, because I really truly believe if you're a good marketer and communicator and good at sales, you actually become a better coach, right?
You mentioned in a post that you actually didn't do any social media marketing when you first opened your gym. Now, in the post, I think you were referring to the one in Slovenia. Is that that's
no? Yeah, but not even like when.
Not even the one that you opened in Seattle.
I opened 2008. So I opened.
What's it called again?
Vigor Ground Fitness and Performance.
Okay, and that's in 2008 is when you started.
Yeah, so it was like 10 days after the economy crashed.
Right.
is when I ended up getting that. So it was a little garage gym. That was 900 square feet, no windows, black mold.
Nice.
Black
Whoa,
mold.
really?
Oh yeah. It was,
Oh God, that's terrible.
Definitely built the immunity up. That's for sure. But it was, back then. So if you look at, there was no Facebook. Facebook started. I think that was like where it bumped. It was like 2011, 12 is like where it really started.
12. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking about like every guerrilla marketing strategy you can imagine. I did it.
What did you do? I mean, give me a couple of them for marketing, if not
I mean,
that.
okay. So I mean, we can definitely roll into this. I did yard signs, and what I do. I mean, this is some. I'll give you like 10 different ones that I did. Right. One is that I built a website / landing page because I learned it really, really early before anybody did that. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was Renton Results Bootcamp. It probably still lives. I don't know, but it was like, it was like the copy. Like nobody's doing copywriting, and like we had a good offer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But even before that, I had an email list, but it wasn't like a Aweber or anything like that. It was my Yahoo, because when I was at the different gyms, I would just tell people, give me your email, and I'm gonna just email you tips and like advice and stuff like that. So it was email marketing, but not like the way that we know it. Like I'm gonna
MailChimp and stuff that we
no, exactly. It was like my Yahoo email, and I'll just keep adding people to a group.
That's smart. So it was through you, not through the gym.
It was through me, right? And I was just, but nobody else was doing it. Like, but I was emailing people once a week, twice a week. Like, hey, here's this. This is why you need more protein. It's thermogenic. And people are really appreciating that. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: is I sat down with a lot of people that didn't end up training. A lot. Like at LA Fitness, I was doing. I mean, you're talking about 8 consultations, 10, 12, 15 per day sometimes.
Sure. And
like 1 person, 2 people sign up, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe. So that's 13 people. I'm getting their email, and I'm actually sending him a training program. Mm-hmm. And they would go to like Dave Keipe, the GM, going.
Whereas a lot of trainers, hey, if you're not training with me, I'm not sending you
if I'm not making commission off you, I don't give a shit about you, right?
Yeah,
like I'm done,
right? Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I'm following up. Like, hey, listen, man, I made you a plan. Like, this is a good like 4-week plan. Just follow. And people come up to me like, yo, thank you so much. Like, this has helped me. I lost 10 pounds. So they would talk, they go to the GM and say nice things. I mean, he'd be like, we don't ever get people emailing us about anybody. Like people email you about you. That's crazy. So he was very much so like, he'd send people to me because he's like, I know you're going to take care of them. Right. So I would email.
You've been taking care of people that aren't even your clients.
Correct. Because it was that different. The mentality was like, let me help you. Right.
Very different mentality.
And then people would come back and go like, hey, that was great. Like, I imagine if I'm going to train with you, it's going to be
how much better it'll be if I'm actually on a program.
So you're like the original value-based marketer.
I mean,
everyone's doing it.
That was the thing. I mean, I'm telling you, like, you have to, like, this should never disappear. When you look at social media, right, and any of the stuff that I do, that's the frame. Like, I'm going to create content. It's going to be really valuable. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to do it at scale with media. You can do it at scale. Yeah. But back then it was like, how do I get in front of people? So I had this like 5x5 rule, like every day, let me talk to like 5 people, right? And just talk to people. Like, go to, I remember this story. I tell this story because I would go to Safeway and, and this a mentor of mine was like, he would tell me like, speak to 5 people a day, right? And I was not like Luka today. I can go on stage in front of 1,000 people, no problem. Just give me the mic, whatever, right? It was like, what? Shit, like, I mean, I can talk basketball and do that, but like just to strangers.
Yeah.
And I would go and just start talking to people, be like, oh man, cool shoes. Oh, thanks. Start a conversation. Guy looks at the car, like my cart, not my cart, but what was on, right before I was going to pay. He's like, oh man, you eat healthy. And I go, yeah, well, I kind of got to. Like, I represent, like, I'm a trainer. I help people, like, it's like, yeah, man, you look fit. Man, and he goes like, man, I need to get in shape, right? I'm like, hey, listen, I got you, like 2-3 workouts on me.
Give me your
like,
email.
For real?
Yeah.
Phone number. Right there on the spot. And like, I've been doing that ever since, by the way. Anybody tells me like, I'm like, listen, and I never say it's free. I'll go like, you know what? I'll take care of it. I'll pay for 2 sessions for you. It sounds different, right? Like,
it does.
It's a free, I'll take care of 2 sessions for you. I'll pay for them, right? They're like, damn, right? And I'm like, what's your number? Do you know that if you have a conversation with somebody and you just go like, hey, what's your number? 99% of the time, people would just give you their number, right? And then I'll text them, and I would start texting them back valuable stuff. Be like, here's the ebook I wrote. Hey, don't share please with anybody. Like, I charged $50 for this.
But he gave it to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
and so
wow.
I would do that. And the thing is, a lot of those 5, it's not like I would just get the lead to come in.
Yeah.
But throughout the week, like, there would be like 2 people, 3 people, 1 person, 5 people. And I would just keep following up, right? So that was one of the things that I did that I still tell people today. Tomorrow when I speak at Coaching Con, I just changed it to 6x6 strategy because my number was 6, when I play ball. But
Yeah.
6 days a week, you talk to 6 people, that's 36 leads, right?
Yeah.
That's 144 a month, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's a lot of people.
It
Like,
is.
if you get like a 5% conversion on that, you got 7 leads.
And today you have the benefit of actually having social media to where now I can say,
Correct.
hey, give me your Instagram.
Correct.
Check this out. I'll send you a free workout. I'll just hit you in the DM.
Absolutely.
And if you watch, I mean, how many people hit you up and say, hey, listen, I followed you for like a year and a half now. I think I actually want to finally do something.
So many. Like, I mean, there's the same thing. It doesn't matter where it's at. Like, email list, been reading your emails for 2 years,
Yeah.
right? It's not, but today everybody wants it to be now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
All of
you're not
this
paying
stuff-
me now. It's not a lead.
And this is where it gets crazy. So when you take it, like, because I want to connect the dots here, right? Like, back then you didn't have all this automation and systematization and like, this video is doing well, let me put $100 behind it so even more people can see it. Like, you had none of that, right? But it was like, if I kept following, but the thing is, there was less distraction for people, right? So you'd follow up with them and be like, hey, how you doing, man? You feel it's look, when somebody's not feeling good about themselves,
You think it was more direct back then, back
because
with the
there
email.
was less shit hitting them, right?
Yeah.
So in some ways it was more powerful, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like in some ways, yeah, you couldn't reach as many. I can go to sleep now. I run ads. I do this, that, the other, and it's like it's doing the work for me, right?
Right. Yeah.
So there's the power of that, but I think that people have lost that human touch and connection and hustle because back then it was like, nope, I'm gonna talk to 5 people per day. I went to Super Subs was a store, and we'd do these boxes, right? It was be like win 30 days of results boot camp, right? And it's like people would drop it in. Now, a bunch of it would be bullshit, but still, you get like 3-4 good leads a week. I just stop on Saturdays, pull out number email. One person I'd hit up, hey, you won 30 days. The other ones I'd be like, hey, you won a week, right? And it's like the conversion wasn't like super high, but it was like 50 of those per month. And like I'd get 3-4 in to try it. You know what I mean? Then I would have these yard signs, right? Phone number, and I would go like 1 week free trial, right? I mean, this is back in the day, 1 week free trial, but I'd go in front of LA Fitness. I'd go in front of. Now the thing is, it took about like legitimately like 20 hours before they pulled it out, called me and said, listen, we're gonna call the cops on you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
If you do it again.
oh, okay, I'll obviously always do it again.
Yeah.
Right. But by that time, the location was so good because I forgot what the headline was. But it was like when you're ready to get results or something. People go to LA Fitness, they're not fucking doing shit.
Well, you got more people coming in and out of LA Fitness disappointed in their results and their workouts than you'll find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always say the best place to open a gym is next to Big Box. Or close
Where's the
to
closest Planet Fitness, man?
Absolutely.
That's where you
like
got to go.
Automatic lead generation. But it's what would happen. I mean, like that gym when I opened had like 10,000 members. Now probably only 2,000 showed up, but it was like every time I put the yard signs up, I'd get 5 to 6 calls before they tore them out.
Always.
So then I started getting better and strategic and be like, all right, like I noticed when I put it in, it takes a little bit longer because they're lazy as fuck on this day, right? And like this guy's working, so this guy, and I would literally be like, Sunday night, pop, right? Like on Monday, like about 1 o'clock, I get the call. They're pissed off. They're gonna call. Okay, cool. And I would, and I had like I just started doing a list of strategies like that. I would do grocery store tours, which I still think are good ideas, basically, but it would be free. I would do a thing with Fred Meyer where Fred Meyer would actually give me $10 gift cards to give to people. So I would tell people like, hey, listen, grocery store tours, sign up for it. You got RSVP.
What is a grocery store tour?
Like I would teach people where to buy, what to buy, how to look at packaging,
Oh,
how to look
see.
at like calories, is real food, shop on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Here's different proteins because like folks.
That
don't know
is a good
stuff,
idea. I've
right?
never
And this
heard
is
of
like
that
in
before.
person, so you'd have a group of
In
people
person.
show up?
Yeah, I'd
Cool.
go with groups 8, 10 people.
Okay.
So you
people
just walk them through the supermarket.
through the supermarket. But the thing is, it was so I went to Fred Meyer because I would basically go like, but at the end they're gonna spend money because everybody's got gift cards to spend, right? Of course, they wouldn't spend just $10. They'd always spend more.
Right.
So, and I'm bringing people to their store. Now, here's what would happen. Like, people would go like, what the hell's going on here? Like, there's people moving through Fred Meyer.
Yeah.
And I would do a quickie, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we're doing a grocery store tour, teaching people how to eat right, to achieve their goals, for fat loss, to feel better, to, get healthier. Would you be interested in that? Yeah, great. Give me your number. I would like literally like 30 seconds and get numbers from people, follow up with them, right? Like, and I mean, that face-to-face is so powerful, right? Like and the thing is, at the end of it, I would convert them to like do a 2-week trial. As soon as you're in front of me, it's game over, right? But it was like, I just need to get in front of people. And so the next phase was I started doing seminars. And this is like one of my biggest recommendations. This is the thing that I can't understand. And if I, tomorrow when I say it to like the 1,000 people in attendance or whatever it's going to be,
Yeah.
like 7 are going to do it maybe. You know what I mean?
course,
Like,
yeah.
if that, right? But if you do it, because people are always
Seminars.
seminars and workshops,
and
your
workshops.
own ones. And then somebody
Yes.
that goes like, I don't have a gym. Dude, do you know how many people, because the other thing I did was lunch and learns. Like, I'll get to that, but it's like, how many people would want to host you if you went and did like, hey, listen, I'll take you 45 minutes, breathing, mobility, you'll feel better. Like, you don't even need fitness people. It's like, oh, my neck hurts, my back, everything hurts. Great. Hey, can I come into your work? You got an area, we'll do this.
Yeah.
At the end of it, you got, 20 people, 20 employees that sign up, and you go like, hey, listen, like, $197 for 2 weeks of training with me. And then from there, it's like results. We do this at the gym. We call it results in advance. It's a trial, right? But it's a paid trial. It's such an easy sell at the end, right? Risk-free. If you think we suck, we'll give you your money back, right? But so many companies and organizations locally are looking for speakers. They're looking for people to do.
They have marketing dollars, and they have to actually today. A lot of them have to fulfill it in the realm of fitness.
If they have the money, they want to fulfill it. But the thing is, I'm like, dude, don't forget it. Like, free. I just want to get in front of people. If you ever heard that acronym, GIFT, right? Get in front of them, right? GIFT.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, yo, you will know me. And it's like the advantage was that everybody was, like, I don't want to get in front of people with a camera. And I was just like, I'm gonna get up in front of anybody. And I sucked at first. Look, you can't be good,
Oh, yeah.
But it's like I was just had so many reps that locally.
You should have seen the first episode of the podcast.
Oh, dude. I always tell people, he's so good on camera. I'm like, go back 14 years on YouTube. I was like, Luka, I lift a lot weight. It's like, but it's like I do many reps.
How long would you say in your journey have you been actually addressing the camera, been talking to, because you've been coaching for a while, but how long have you been taking media and utilizing that, either for marketing or for social media?
It's gonna be like 14 years.
14 years
probably. Like if you go back on YouTube, I think it's probably first video is 14 years.
Your YouTube channel, you see his YouTube channel? I haven't actually seen it.
There we go.
Nice. Oh wow. Oh dude, you're about to get the plaque.
Oh yeah, the plaque. Hey, I didn't give a shit. So here's the funny thing about
if you're watching.
No. I give a shit about the plaque. I did it for a long time because YouTube was never. Everybody now is like, oh, you're a YouTuber. I'm like, no, like. I can't, like, seriously, I just started posting videos on YouTube.
Yeah. How long ago? How old is this page?
14 years ago.
14 years ago. Well,
yeah.
You know what? There's a lesson in that because you're doing it right. And look how long it took.
Yeah.
It took a long
14 years, man. You got to be patient.
And it wasn't, here's the other thing, like the first 8 to 10 years of my career, like, I'm breathing, sleeping, snorting, dreaming, training, and gym. That's it. Like,
I get it.
And obsessive.
Yeah,
right?
I get that too.
And I'm still obsessed, but it's like before, I've done business consulting now for 10 years, right? But again, it was like for 2 to 3 years, people were asking me like how I'm doing stuff, and I was like, I shouldn't talk to, like, I don't think I'm good. I don't think I'm like good enough, right?
To give advice.
I don't make enough because I didn't like. It took me to go into a mastermind where I thought everybody was doing better than me. Yeah. And I was in a little garage, like just churning money, right? Like just printing. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm actually doing really well. So after that is when I was just like, hey, I'm taking on 5-6 local people, and then coached 5-6 local people. Local, like in the Seattle area, and helped everybody a lot, So that was like, oh, actually I'm good at this. Yeah. And then me and my partner still to this day, Steve Krebs, started coaching together, and we had a thing called the Pack Fitness business. Now it's called Yo Grow Your Gym. But the reason I say this is because, like, it was singular. Now, here's the thing. I understood marketing to a degree because I was always learning about it. Mm-hmm. So when I, created a landing page, nobody was doing video. You guys remember the flip cam?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, the flip cam. You know what I mean? Like, tick. It was a whole, like, from one video, it was like an hour to even do anything with it. The quality was shit. But it was like, I got a flip cam, and it was like, all right, I'm going to shoot these testimonial videos for the landing page, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I had somebody, edit this video. If you look at it now, you're like, I could literally be taking a dump and make a better video on, through an app.
Yeah, through an app, yeah.
And I gave it to somebody, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make this cool. Now you look at it, you're like, what the fuck is this? But then it was just like, people would come on the landing page, and it's this video, like, Rent the Results Bootcamp. And I had a script, and it was just like testimonials. And so I started there because it was like, you know what? I know that this is going to help the business, so I'm going to do it. And it was like, I don't know, I'd shoot it 60 times and I just cringe. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, 61. Fuck it. Let's put this one up. It's the worst of the, it's like the best of the worst. Yeah, it's the best of the worst. And so that's where it begins. And then I was, I think because I was so heavily, back then it was T Nation, Elite FTS, strengthcoach.com, and I would read, I mean, I'm not exaggerating, man. Like, I mean, hours per day. I mean, I every book that you can imagine on all the old, like I said, the Russian manuals, all the strength training, and all the guys that too are, I would say, big names in the industry today. I grew up with them, Eric Cressy, Mike Robertson, Martin Rooney, like close friends of mine, Alan Cosgrove, And
I do anything with Dave Tate?
What'd you say?
Dave Tate?
Yeah,
do anything with him? Yeah.
Well, no. So I obviously know Dave. I mean, who doesn't know Dave? I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people today don't know Dave, which
it's
is
weird.
Which is
You
crazy.
hold, yeah,
right?
it's crazy.
But it's like, it's legendary people, right? Christian Thibodeau. I mean, you name them, right? Like most of them I've known for a long time are close friends of mine. I learned from them, right? Everything that I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
So it was basically, now I learned fast that I learn well when I teach, right? So the moment that I learn something, and it would be, if you look at the old videos, it would be stuff like, I'd do a certain method, like, all right, because I would test every program there is, right? Everything, every modality, every method, everything you can imagine, I do it, right? And then I shoot videos on like, hey, I'm doing this contrast training with this, but I wasn't explaining a lot because I wasn't confident in my voice yet, right? But I would do the training, and I mean, it was raw, like it was, we're clanging and banging and flipping tires and doing crazy shit.
Yeah,
and that was the beginnings. But I never, like, at that point in time, I'm not sitting there going like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber and make a ton of money. All I gave a shit about was like helping people train, build a gym business. That was it.
Seems like there's a bit of a discrepancy in the market between what an actual influencer is or what a coach is. I mean, where would you say, because you sort of have to have one and the other in order to truly create something today. I mean, in the video, at the time when you started your garage gym, maybe it wasn't as important to have an online space and to have a network reach. Today, it seems like it's much more important that somebody have that.
It is. And here, so I don't think it's, it's the Harv Tieck or Million of Mine, right? It's like, it's not either or, it's and. But the kicker is this. I put a tweet up a long time ago, and I said, there's internet coaches and there's coaches that put stuff on the internet, right? Like, be a coach that puts stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Right? And I truly believe that you cannot be a good online coach without coaching a lot in person. I
agree.
You can't. That. And the thing is, it's not even just me. Like, you take out the top coaches, and they'll tell you the same thing. Mm-hmm. And if you were like, well, yeah, I used to do it. No, like, no, you need to be doing it. You got it to a certain degree, continue doing it, right? Like, there's just an element, and like, I know how, it's difficult to, and I consider myself exceptionally good at what I do, and I still, I can't transform everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, and I'm continuing to try to figure out psychology, behavior change, all these other underlying things that are below the X's and O's, and you still can't help everybody, right? But you do your damn best.
Yeah.
And that's in person, which is, I mean, I would say definitely a lot easier, right? Now you take it online.
Easier to transform someone than an online. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like things like being able to read body language,
Yeah, the human experience is actually happening.
Touch the Actually, with the thing I would say, maybe the most important one, if I take my ego, is like the environment, right? You create an environment, and we know environment triggers behaviors. So it's like, and again, when you go to coaching gyms and stuff like that, now you have community. Mm-hmm. I'm not just coming for you, Luka. I'm coming for the people at Vigor. I'm coming for my friends that I built here.
Oh, yeah.
These people that bring me up, this tribe that I have, right? So you take that. Now, can there be an online tribe? Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm all for it. Like, I'm launching more and more stuff online now because I see the impact.
You and Keisha are doing something together, yeah?
I mean, the thing is, I have like, we can talk about all the things I'm doing. It's like, it's too many things. but I know, but this comes from my desire to, like, look, I'm not going to say that I don't care about the financial part, but it's definitely not what drives me. Like, I want to, like, when I started seeing like, holy shit, there's, tens of thousands of people, hundreds, across the world, and coaches that follow me. And I, for years, people are like, I want to buy a course from you. I want to buy a course from you. I want to buy, and I'm like, I don't have anything. Don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we launched and it did exceptionally well. And now there's other stuff like, I got a book that's just got done. We got to edit and do a lot of stuff that's coming out in September.
Sick.
That's
it called?
I'm giving you. It's probably going to be the Fit Pro Success Playbook, right? But it's basically like the 8 C's of building like a champion kind of training business. It's a coaching book, and then after that book, after that I got another book I'm gonna start which maybe, I can't kind of jinx myself. It may be that one might be a publisher deal that we're talking about, and it's more towards kind of like the end user, athlete for life, which, that name kind of came to be more so because I was just saying it so much. It was like, I want to have the show and go for life, period, right?
Yeah.
And it became a thing, and it's like, yeah, that's the way I train. That's the model kind of I train by. But again, all these things come from, to me, the heart of everything for me is actually the gym and me training people and me training people in business. Like I have to have, I have to test reality at all times to teach it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
same thing, like everything I've done on the side of, like I own my own building, right? Like I bought the building that Vigor is in, and we have 6-7 tenants, and I own another property in upstate New York, and like investment, like I want to test the reality of what I do and then share what I do, right?
Well, the internet's to a degree where if you're not actually implementing what it is you're teaching, and you can't show, I was just telling MJ this, you can't actually show what it is that you are accomplishing, then people are going to really question whether or not your program really works. And I feel like that's a big problem with people selling success, is they don't oftentimes have the success themselves. They're selling you on the methodology that they themselves haven't implemented.
And listen,
coaching or business. It could be either one.
100%. Like Hormozy talks about this all the time, right? It's like, have you built the business? And then let me teach you how to do the thing, right? But it's just like there's a lot of people teaching, but like, what have you built?
You're not going to make your business teaching me how to make the business. So you need to make it, and then you can teach me how you made it.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. And it's like even better when you can just show, and I'm very transparent too. Like I'm like, here's the struggles. Like here, I mean, when you've been in business, as a gym for 16 years, it's like, you've gone through some shit. We've been, I got crazy stories, but like, recessions and this, that, the other, and we've changed locations. I don't know how many times between the two gyms now, and a lot of employees. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that you have to overcome. And I can even sit here and tell you, like, I got 27 strategies right now. Can I even implement them? The answer is no, right? Because I would need a team here and this, that. Like, so I even talk about that. I'm like, here's what I think is a great strategy. I'm not doing it right now. Here's why. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be transparent about it. And, we tried this and it didn't work. I tried this and it worked and I didn't fucking like it. So I stopped doing it, even though it was making money, right? And the thing is, but you might like it. I built my business this way, but you could do it this way. Like we coach people that have really small gyms with fucking churn money, right? And they're like, I'm good. Like I don't want to go bigger. I'm like, great. Yeah. I do the same thing, but to me it's like I wanted to have equity, and it was a really good move for me to buy commercial real estate. I want to do more of it. And I got some massive projects that we're working on. But again, it's like, I want to know what your vision is. Don't try to do what I do.
Yeah.
Right. Like, let me teach you. For me, it's always like principles, strategies, methods, tactics. Right. It's like, but people just go to tactics, and it's like, well, hold up. What's the why? What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah. Where's the finish line? What are you trying to do?
Exactly. And it does change too. Like I could, 10 years ago, you'd ask me like what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going to have 10 Vigors, Then I was like, actually, fuck that. Like, I just want to have one phenomenal place that's the best in the world. Let's develop that. And then
I like that.
It was like a Mona Lisa type, like, art, because I started going like,
I like that
this
too.
is an art. This is an art. It is, man. Like, and if you want, like, I got friends that have franchises they're selling for wild money, right?
Sure.
Hell yes. Kudos to you. Like, you're the shit. For me personally, it's like, I've really looked at coaching is an art. Gym is an art, and it's like if you had two Mona Lisas next to each other, it'd be like, that's not that. So it's like, how can we make this as good as possible? And then I love teaching that, to others. And what's happened in the last 5 years is that like really big companies, like I don't even know if I have like agreements or what that I can't say, but it's basically like even billion-dollar companies that be like, hey, come in and hey, teach us about culture and leadership. Like, hey, how are you doing this program? And then they're, taking that and implementing it on a larger scale. I'm like, I like that. Like, it's making an impact. I do a course and so many people buy it, or I, do workshops and so many people watch it, and they're helping their clients or they're helping their business. That to me is cool. But then I go back to the lab. Yeah. And the lab is my gym. I'm training pro teams, elite athletes, kids, regular folks, this, that. You name it, everything, right?
Would you say you have a niche market of people you target for training? It's obviously not all pros.
No, absolutely not. Like I would still say, I have the most diverse amount of clients, and just Vigor in general has a crazy diverse, and
And there's 2 Vigors, one here and one overseas.
one in Slovenia.
One in Slovenia.
One in
And that's you've decided to cap it there. You want 2 locations, period.
That's it. I mean, and the thing is, I'm completely hands-on. By the way, the one in Slovenia, in full transparency, my brother, 2 of my best friends run it, and Gregens, like they, we have close to 500 members there now. I mean, it's
Nice.
It's also about 11,000 square feet. We don't own that building, but I'm completely, I basically just consult. Like that's, it's like vision, strategy, consulting. Obviously it helps their brand, but also, I mean, we've been around longer there than we have here. But I think that, the gym in Seattle is definitely a bigger name.
You
right?
see the gym in Seattle, and the way that I like to envision kind of what we're doing here is along the same path. You want it to kind of be the destination. You want it to be, like you put it, an art form, like the Tulum Jungle Gym. People go out there. There's only 2 in the world. They're like, hey, I'm going to make a trip. I'm going to go out to Mexico. I'm going to go hang out at this gym. I'm going to get my content. I'm going to do my training. This is a fun little vacation spot for me. That's kind of the way you envision.
Absolutely.
Vigor.
And look, here's, more transparent, because I think people get the most out of like no bullshit. I fucking hate, like I can go on shows and talk about like all the fucking, they like the roses and the good stuff and all that stuff. But like take the last 3 to 4 years. I say take the last 3 years, and you've had COVID in between, which obviously fucked up a lot of people and made it challenging. But but I made a conscious decision on, and I've been doing it for long, but I made a conscious decision on building brand, right? So even, especially in the last 5 years, if you look at my content, I mean, it's aggressive.
It's growing a lot.
And, people will be like, oh man, what's your team? I'm like, I'm the team. I mean, basically I really, truly do the majority.
Are you the only one managing your page?
More or less. I mean, like I have people that do video edits and stuff like that, but even, I mean, like I do a lot, man. I do
good. That's
everything
awesome,
on IG, everything. Now we're starting to, like, I just hired, we're going to do a quarter for YouTube, for management, for filming, for this, that, the other. Somebody's going to, because it hasn't even been truly streamlined. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So there's a ton of potential on all facets.
And you're still kind of just, I mean, you're coming to market with a lot of products now, but for a very long time, you sort of just used social media to give your free content.
Free, everything free.
Same
podcast free, YouTube free, IG free, Facebook. I mean, you name it, even everything free, right? And this is another, this is I actually know Gary Vee from back in the day, and met with him, and he said something to me. It's all you guys probably have heard the book Jab, 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 Right Hook. Right. So give, ask. And I can't remember who was saying this. Maybe it was Alex Hormozy that was mentioning this about how
it says a lot of shit.
Yeah, he said a lot of smart stuff. Smart dude. And basically it's like mature platforms have like about, like, if you go to if you go to TV, you'll have legitimately about 13 minutes of commercials for every 47 minutes of content, right? So that's about a 3 to 4 to 1, right? If you go on Facebook, every 3 to 4 posts, there's an ad, 3 to 4 to 1. So mature audiences, it's yes, give, ask. But what if you're building something? So for anybody that's listening right now, you give until they ask, right? And so you see a lot of this today where it's like, oh, I've been posting, what have you been doing? Like, oh, 1 a day for a month. So like nobody's, I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
you got like, listen, man, you need a lot more work.
You gotta have a community values what you say before you ever consider selling them anything.
And my point being is that, like, I took, for the gym, it definitely, and when I say it suffered, like it's doing well, but I took it's very difficult to do a lot of things, right? Like
especially if you're doing it
at an
yourself.
elite level, absolutely. So now I made a conscious decision because I know that what I did is paying off, and it's a snowball effect, and it helps the gym and everything else, right? Like, I mean, we get more organic leads than most gyms get with advertising, right? Like, I'm sometimes scared to turn ads on because I'm like, whoa, I need more coaches, or I need more back end support.
Do you have other coaches that run it Vigor?
Yeah. We have currently, I mean, we've had as many as 6, 7. Right now we're at
cool.
4. I got a full-time general manager coming in, like at a front desk man. I mean, I got a team, right? So It's not like, so there's a team, but there's levels, right? Like, to where I have the ability, which I think for every, marketing and sales is very important, by the way. Yeah. If you're a coach, like, people are just like, no, just do a great job. Yes, absolutely. You should do that. Like, you should be so good that people talk about you. 100%. That should be the most important thing. Yeah. But to not have the ability to market and sell, like, you are shooting yourself in the foot. It's gonna be tough.
You could be the best in the world, but if no one has any idea that you're doing it,
exactly,
you're not gonna get any.
You have to be visible, and you have to be talking to customers.
You have to be, and so to talk. Basically, what I teach people now a lot is like, look, your foundation. That's what the book is about. The foundation is coaching, customer experience, culture, right? Those three things, those three C's, you gotta have that. It's gotta be great. That's the foundation, right? Then the next,
In any particular order?
I mean, look, I think that coaching and customer, I would sometimes put, this is gonna, become blasphemy for somebody that's so into training and coaching. But customer experience is so shit in the service industry that if it can be a competitive advantage.
If you're good with customer relations, but maybe not as good as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, but how many times I'm like, look, I know when I started working at like LA Fitness or Vision Quest, and I would at first be like annoyed, right? I'd be like, how the fuck, like this person doesn't know what the hell they're doing, but they got, they've been their clients for 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And then instead of, being, after a while, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what they're doing. So they're keeping them even though they're not doing good training, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the customer experience part.
Yeah, they like them. They have an interpersonal connection with the
communication, like you got, here's the thing, in this industry, you got to be likable. I mean, I can tell you some of the biggest names in the world that were not likable and people didn't want to train with them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they built their, I would say, reputation more through education later on. People don't want to keep training with them, right?
No.
So you got to be likable, right? And you got to not hurt people, and you got to get people results, but you got to create. So that to me, is customer experience. And then part of coaching is also communication and empathy and listening, and right, like, no, we're gonna fucking do it this way, but I don't want that. No, I know what the fuck, they're not gonna stay with you, right?
Yeah.
Even though you know all the X's and O's all day long. So I don't even know, usually when we coach people, we're like, oh, this person's a great coach, but their customer experience sucks and their culture is not good, right? Because they don't like certain standards they don't set, and then they don't manage those standards, right?
Yeah.
And then the next 3 C's is content, communication, which is marketing, right? And then conversion, which is sales.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you got to have this foundation, and I feel that the beginning aspects of it, and it was for me, it was like word of mouth and referrals.
Yeah.
Which I kind of got a rule, like, listen, if you don't get, I don't know, if you got 30 clients and you're going to get 5 referrals a month, 1, you got to do a better job. 2, you got to ask for referral. You got to have a referral system. But and then you add those next 3 C's, right? And then you have systems, which is C, consistency. Right, so a
lot of C's.
A lot of C's. It's built on C's. It's memorable. It's memorable.
Yeah,
see, this is what happens when you get me drinking caffeine.
Ghost.
Swedish fish.
Yeah, Swedish fish is game over. But yeah, I mean, it's like you got, it's not an either or, man. It's an and. So, but today, here's the deal. That that many years ago, it was so difficult to do both.
Yeah.
But today, like when people are like, I don't have time for content. What do you mean? It takes 10, 15 minutes
by yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of time. It just creates it takes structure, it takes a schedule, being organized. And most of the time, like, I'm filming the shit that I'm doing. It's not like some stuff I'm creating, but like majority of I'm documenting.
It's also not as imperative that people get the quality they think they need. They see stuff you're doing or like what I'm doing, and they're like, okay, I can't do that. You know what? I can't do that, so I probably shouldn't even crack at it at all. And I always tell them, like, okay, I would go back, scroll a couple years back, and look what I was doing back in 2017. Like, look at that content.
Exactly.
That's me in front of my phone talking about anything. Your content is all around you. If what you're doing is really what you're passionate about, you don't need a team of people editing anything.
No.
You need content that is going to be consistent more than the quality of the content being incredible.
Is why you got to train. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't run out. I always text with Ben Bruno, and it's like we train people, so we always have content. Like, I'm always coaching. I'm always listening to clients. So it's like you should never run out of it. And I always tell folks, like, listen, on your phone, in a journal, every problem that any prospect or client brings up to you, write it down. Right?
Okay.
Everyone. I legitimately have an Evernote. I mean, I'm talking about, it is just, I never run out of content. Or people will say something like, what do you say?
Yeah.
Text it to myself, put it in my Evernote later, right? Because I'm like, man, this is always hurt, and this is struggling. I'm struggling with this with nutrition. And like, these are all, I'm like, this is the best content. I'm going to create content for my clients, right? And so that to me, I'm like, you're trying to create content for other coaches and for shit to go viral, solve problems.
Yeah.
If you have 3 clients, you have 3 people you're solving problems for, share all the shit that you're doing with them. Give it all away. That's another thing that Frank Kern taught me, was like, give all your stuff away, everything, the best stuff, the best shit, give it away. Because there's 2 things that happen. Well, actually more, but like, number 1, people will be like, damn, motherfucker's confident. He's giving it all the way, right?
Yeah, he's not charging anything.
Number 2, they won't be able to do it, right? It's like, I can read everything about something. I'm still gonna get stuck, and I'm like, shit, dude, I'm gonna hire this guy to help me with the YouTube. I'm gonna hire, right?
Right.
Do you know how like this will be a great story though. Geek Squad, you guys know?
Oh
Geek
yeah,
Squad?
of course, yeah.
Best
Do
Buy.
you know the story of Geek Squad?
No.
Okay,
Never.
so Geek Squad basically shot YouTube videos on fixing every little fucking thing, gadget, TV, this, that, the other,
Yeah.
right? And it started getting an insane amount of views,
Uh-huh.
right? Because people are looking it up. It's like YouTube is like Google, right?
Yeah.
And people are
Better.
like, holy shit, like this is a step-by-step process on how to solve the thing, right?
Mhm.
But what happens? I know I'm the same way. I look at this, fuck, it's an 11-minute video. God damn it, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
Who did they start calling? Geek Squad.
Yeah.
These guys are helping me solve my problem. I don't want to solve it. I'm going to have you solve it. Boom. Sold for $1 billion to Best Buy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like you think about content and you go like, you got to be Geek Squad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And stop the whole shit about like, yeah, but Brett Contreras has already done glue. It doesn't matter. It's your voice. Like you're
Oh, yeah.
one of one.
That's-
People will listen to you.
That's
right?
the other thing I get pushback a lot of times when I'm encouraging content creation and new up and coming, even not new up and coming coaches, experienced coaches. They're oftentimes, I think, a little worried that they're going to rip somebody off or something. I'm like, hey man, you got to know. I mean, my whole page is filled with lists of coaches. You're in this list. Coaches that are doing things, that are doing movement patterns, that are doing content a certain way. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll send it to him. Hey, we were going to do this topic. I love how he shot this. Let's try to make it sort of like this. It's a rotating door, and it's also not, it's not hostile. If anybody gets hostile that you made a
No.
video kind of like mine, what in the world? Like, we're all learning from each other.
Always, man. And it's like I shout out everybody. I mean, I try to do my best, obviously. I mean, we've all, think about this. Everything that you've known, you've learned from somewhere. And then, of course, your experience has taught you, right? So, yes, we have our own views, our own experiences, our own wisdom. But, I mean, I could legitimately quote people every single day all the time, right? Like, but most of the time, if you go on my stuff, you'll see like, hey, this is a ground series. Mike Robertson reminded me about it. I've been doing some of these things. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Bill Hartman. I'm like always shouting people out. Ooh,
Right.
I saw Drag Performance put up this acceleration drill. It's awesome. Like I've been doing it like this, but I saw it like this. Love it. If they share it, like it's if you drop your ego, right? And it's like for
big
new,
time.
big time, right?
Big time.
And the thing is, if you're experienced, you got to drop the ego because you got to stop doing the whole thing about like, oh, like I'm not as smart because I'm saying that I learned from somebody else, because that's a lot of times what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a newbie, like here's my recommendation, right? It's like documenting your journey of learning through the industry. So it's your first year, your second year, people are like, oh man, I'm not smart yet. You know what? Do it exactly like that. Hey, today I learned this thing and I tried it with my client and like it went really well. And I did this thing and I did it in my own training. So you got stuff you can document all the time. But instead of going like, I know everything, you go like, no, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm learning. And here's
Stay
what
a
here's what
sponge.
I experienced, right? And it becomes like social media becomes like this learning tool for you. But that every time, so this is what was really helpful for me, right? And the way that I believe that I can create so much content is I am like studying a lot. I mean, I'm a very, very voracious reader. I'm always studying courses. I'm in speaking at events. I stay afterwards. We host, I mean, this year we're hosting 10 or 11 seminar certifications at my gym, right?
Sick.
When I say this, I don't say this arrogantly. There's no gym in the country that has more continuing ed than we do, period, right?
Really? On it?
No.
No?
Maybe some years, man, but I'm telling you, it's like we take COVID out.
Uh-huh.
If you bundle like 8 years, we probably average 9 events per year,
Nice.
right? And on top of that, I put on the Vigor Ground Fitness and Business Summit, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's absurd. Like when I pull out the list, it's absolutely insane, right? So not only am I going to speak, going to seminars, buying courses, reading a book, we're bringing people in all the time. So it's just nonstop. And for me, it's like as soon as I learn it, I'm teaching it.
Yeah.
I'm teaching it to the team and staff. I'm shooting a video. I'm gonna drop a podcast on it because it's ingraining my learning. I want to implement it and then share what I learned through putting it into work, right? Because there's so much stuff out there, man, that's based on theory and not real world, right? Like there's folks that have been like, you should do this in your small group training, and I'll do it. And I'm like,
That
bro,
don't work.
Bro, this don't work.
Yeah,
man.
it doesn't work.
I'm running groups of this. Like, there's no way. And I got a big gym. Imagine doing this in an 800 square foot gym. No way, right? So, like, I test the reality, and it's like, nope, this worked. That's why, like, the small group course, is doing so well. But it's like I've done thousands of those sessions, and when I started them and what they are now, they're so different.
How small is your small group course?
I mean, our small group training is we market it at like up to 16 people, but sometimes there'll be like 20 in my groups, right? But it's strength training.
Yeah, that's not
So
bad.
I've created a model that like you can train all different levels of people through this model, and look, again, I don't want to sound a certain way, but like I've tested this so much, and it works so well. And there's, I mean, hundreds of people doing it across the world now, minimum, if not more, in their coaching in their gyms. You know, and what I love hearing is they do it and they go like, dude, this works. I'm like, yeah, like like I've done so much of it. It's not like I sat down and theorized it. It was like I sat down, did it, put the program in, ran like blocks and blocks and blocks a year. Okay, change it. A year, change it. I mean, just thousands of sessions with thousands of people. And then you're like, okay, I found some stuff, right? Like that I think can work, whether you got a 500 square foot gym or if you got a 20,000 square foot gym, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But again, you got to put the, like, you got to get your hands dirty, man. Like there's just no other way. And that's what I love doing is like learn, apply, you know, reflect, course correct. You know what I mean? Do it again. And to me, it's also the best solution for always having content. Always, you know, like be curious, because it's like I can sit here and I'm telling you, like I know my shit inside and out, but I feel like I don't know anything, because I don't. Because it's like once you learn more, you realize you don't know shit. You know, so you know, it's like two sides of the coin, right? It's like the Bruce Lee thing, right? At first, the punch was just a punch, then it was so much more than a punch, and then it just became a punch again. But it's like, you know, mastery is kind of fine tuning those little things forever and ever and ever, right? So I think that if you stay curious and you stay open-minded, and, you know, we learn new things and you find stuff out like, oh shit. I mean, think about even, you know, 10 years ago, some of the training stuff that you did or thought, right? It's not like you throw everything out. Like there's still a lot of things that I'm doing, but some things I was doing, I'm like, ooh, a little cringe.
Oh yeah.
But it was the best that I believed at that point in time from what I've learned. Right now I've learned new things, and I'm like, man, like, or there was things that I was using that I was like, these are great. And then I was like, oh, they're stupid, you know, because I learned something new. And now I'm like, actually, that was really smart. And
or something else came into the industry. I mean, the
Absolutely.
equipment in the industry has changed immensely over the last 10 years. That's something, I mean,
Oh my
things
God,
you're like,
yeah.
oh, I was doing this a certain way. Oh, wow, that's way before this piece of equipment existed.
And think about the technology. I mean, you know, and I don't like outsourcing too much to technology, but, you know, we're talking about Joel and HRV, right? Like Omega Wave cost like $30,000 when you got it, right? The first kind of HRV device, NFL teams were bringing it in, this, that, the other. I mean, now it's free. You know what I mean? Like you get it, you basically give me a heart rate monitor and you get more, you train with Morpheus.com and you got it for free.
Yeah, it's like an app.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, or for instance, like even things like Force Decks or VBT, I love velocity based training. Like I buy a $350 device and I put it on the bar, and like it's gonna give me all types of data. You know what I mean? Like, and again, machines, devices, you know, you got the Run Rocket or the 1080, right? Like it's like I can sprint at different like velocities. It's $2,000. I mean, like $2,000 might sound a lot, but listen, these things used to be $20,000.
Yeah.
Now it's $2,000, right? So the things that, you know, and this is what tends to happen, right? Whatever 5 years ago was happening at elite sports becomes readily available to anybody, right? And it's like, what's happening now? And you're going to be like, oh, it's this and this and peptides. Okay, cool. It's become readily available, right? So
if not, it will in a few years.
For sure. Yeah. And I think now it's faster, right? Because everything's speeding up. So it used to be like 10 years, now then it was 5. Now it's probably like 3, 2, and it's already, you know, gem pop. And it's like, oh, I can get this device for $500, right? Like, so I think that's cool and exciting. I think that what happens though in the industry a lot is that there's a lot of this kind of like charlatanism, and it's like, this is the best thing, this is the best diet, this is the best device. That really, to me, it's all, you know, again, go back to like understand principles at the highest level. Like, because if you understand principles, everything else becomes easier, right?
Yeah. Toys are nice, but you have to understand why you're using them.
Those are tools, right? It's got principle. And again, you know, when we said tactics, then at the bottom that's tools, right? So you got principles, strategy, method, tactic, tool. And absolutely, like there's tools that I love and there's methods associated with it, but people are too stuck and too rigid where, you know, I'm like, do you like this? I do. You know, in what scenario? With whom? How much time do I have? How much money do I have? All that, you know, it's like I look at all these factors, but like part of the thing that I actually loved in the story of Vigor Ground is that like we started with, I mean, almost nothing because we didn't have it. We were built, right? So training people in the woods with their elements, kettlebells, barbells, body weight, pull-up bars, you know, just that. And I thought the results were phenomenal because of the coaching and the culture, right? The customer experience. You know, and it's like, I started my gym, I can tell you the exact numbers, right? Like I had a bunch of equipment that I was buying when I was training out at LA Fitness, of course, like a trap bar, some KBs, TRXs and stuff. And then I spent like $3,500 or $4,000, and then I had to put down 3 months rent, which was $3,000 at that point in time. Right? So for $7,000, I started, right? And it had, I mean, listen, it was the kind of a shit home, but man, it had character. I mean, I'll send you the pictures. But the results were absurd, though. You know what I mean? Like it was nuts. And there's people that still train, 12, 13 years later now, right? Like at Vigor. And every once in a while, I'll be like, man, I miss the Kamala, right? Because there was something about it. It was just so great. I try to make sure that the current gym always keeps that level of grit. Like, yeah, hey, it's nice. We got cool shit. But man, people are like, oh, you should probably get a new bench. I'm like, nah, fuck that. It's taped up. I want that grit. I want that.
It's the dungeon.
Yes,
garage,
yes.
yeah.
There's a great, like, if you want to read an awesome thing, I'll give you book revelations all day, but a book that I've loved lately is called The Gold Mine Effect. And it talks about these gold mines of talent, right? So think about, why does Brazil have these amazing soccer players, right? Like, why do the Kenyans run like that? And it dives into these things, right? And there's all these lessons from what they do and how they develop these guys and why in those places, right? But one of them was like, as soon as you add too much like nice shit too fast, right? So Chelsea spent $100 million to develop like this youth, and they haven't built one star for them, right? Because it's too much nice stuff.
1 minute ago, it stopped recording the audio. The video is still recording. It's never done that.
Thank you guys so much for watching that episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, hit the like and subscribe. Activate that notification bell as well. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to see more of it, we actually have the Becoming the 1% Instagram, and the podcast is available on Spotify. For our socials, we have Strict Vision Athletics on Instagram, we have it on YouTube, and we have it on TikTok.